Cosmic Mass grew out of the rave movement in Sheffield, England. There were young Anglicans there about 18 years ago or so, who were bringing rave into the Anglican liturgy. And rave is essentially about dance and trance, going into trance through dance, and using what I call the postmodern art forms of DJing and VJing, images and pictures and music, and rap also. And I found this very fascinating and very needed, because I think bringing the body back to worship is essential, and making it fun again and interesting and inviting to artists of all kinds. So to make a long story short, I became an Episcopal priest to do this because the Pope had already fired me, and therefore I wasn't needed in that tradition anymore. And I got good support here from now 2 Episcopal bishops in the Bay Area, Bishop Swing and now Bishop Mark Andrus. And so they've been encouraging. We've done over 95 of these masses now, not all in the Bay Area, but around the country too. And it's a powerful thing and a beautiful thing to invite people to worship together. They're very interfaith, even though we are unapologetically drawing on the story of Jesus. But Buddhists show up, Muslims have shown up, pagans, a few atheists. In fact, at a Mass we had this summer, it sounds true, for 1,000 people, one woman came up to me and she said, I hate church. I avoid even walking in front of churches. I only go for a funeral if I have to. But she said, something happened to me tonight when you did that grieving part. She said, it got to me, and she pointed to her heart. And she said, this evening has transformed my life, she said. So ritual is very endemic to our species. Every tribe of humans does some kinds of rituals. It's just obviously a big part of our survival. And so why should ritual be dull? Why should we be reading prayers at each other and finding pages in a book? That's such a modern thing to do. We're living in a postmodern time. You don't have to pray by reading books. You can pray by dancing, which is a much more ancient way to pray. It's pre-modern. And it's more fun. And when you sweat, you're giving something back to the community. Mahatma Gandhi says, one of the great sins in life is worship without sacrifice. So I think sweating is part of the sacrifice of worshiping. And great community can happen from this, and healing and creativity and strength to carry on the prophetic work, the warrior work of social justice, eco-justice, gender justice, economic justice that has to happen. So worship is not separate from the rest of life. It's a gathering of the community with all of its gifts to recover joy again. So people are very much invited. We have a webpage, thecosmicmass.org or .com, and people can come on board. We also have a program where they can learn how to do it back in their communities. This is an online program with a manual and everything. So I think it's time to make worship fun again, but also serious.
I couldn't agree more. It's so wonderful. What you said about bringing the body back into worship. Can you speak a little bit more to why that's important and what you mean by that?
Well, in our Cosmic Masses, we have always one major dance, the Via Positiva, dance of joy. Usually lasts about 18 minutes, a DJ-led dance, although sometimes some live drumming or something may join it. And then at the very end, we have what they call the warrior dance, a strengthening dance to go out into the world and make a difference. So that too is about an 18-minute dance. And then we play the slides and video as well during the dance. So there's a theme to each Mass. And so, for example, the upcoming Mass at Grace Cathedral, the theme is the Return of the Divine Feminine. So we'll have images of the goddess from all over the world. We've collected about 250 images of all traditions. And so you're dancing, bringing these images into your soul and mind. And it's a powerful way to learn and not forget. And it's also very beautiful. And of course we do this with each Mass, picking a theme and then gathering the images. But to dance them, we also often have a circle dance beginning the service, where you're greeting each other and just beginning, going. So, and then we have a grieving part to each Mass too, and we often use our bodies with that, getting down on all fours and doing some wailing together, which is very important too. Our species has a lot to grieve about today.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, frankly, that the churches and synagogue are doing a very good job of leading us into paths of grieving. We've created some practices of grief that work, I think, that get people into a deep place. And if we don't grieve, I think our creativity is blocked. And when you can grieve, it's like melting a big boulder in our hearts or something. Then the creativity flows again. So then there's the communion experience, and that's part of creativity too, sharing of the bread and wine.
So you do a communion at the Mass?
We do. Thich Nhat Hanh has this amazing passage. He says, what greater thing could Jesus have done than to have left behind bread as his body? Because when you look at bread, he said, you see the sunshine, the clouds, the water, the soil. In other words, the whole history of the universe is in the bread. And the same is true of the wine. So it's wonderful that this teaching comes from Thich Nhat Hanh, a great Buddhist monk, because it is about the interconnectivity of all things. And therefore it's about the cosmic Christ, which is the basic theology of our cosmic Mass, but it's also about the Buddha nature. So again, language is not the last word,
Right.
but it's the understanding, you see, that food is cosmic food. Food comes from the cosmos. And that means it too has a 13.8 billion year history like our bodies do. And so all food is sacred. And all food then is the cosmic Christ or the Buddha nature or whatever other language you care to put to it. So to share this together in worship is a very blessed thing.
And how would you define the cosmic Christ?
Well, the cosmic Christ is the light of God, the image of God in every being in the universe, and the universe as a whole. Today's science says that there are photons or light waves in every atom in the universe. Wow, that is saying scientifically what the cosmic Christ is, if you will, theologically. It's the Shekinah. It's the light, the numinosity, the doxa, the glory in every being in the universe. And what science is telling us today is that while Moses experienced the burning bush at Mount Sinai, you can take any bush today and it's burning. If you meditate on that, if you spend enough time with the bush, you will experience that. So we don't have to do a pilgrimage to Mount Sinai. You can just cleanse your perception. And learning from science and from the theological traditions, whether Buddhism or Christianity or something else, that every being is holy. Mary Oliver has a wonderful poem called At the River Clarion, and she talks about how she was sitting on a rock in a river for hours, and she was listening to the river talking, and this is what it taught her. The river said, I am part of holiness. And the moss in the water said, I am part of holiness. And that's what the cosmic Christ is. It's the realization that everything is part of holiness. So why not celebrate that?
Beautiful.